Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 49-year-old from Cardiff, Wales. He's been running amok in the Shed's honey hole for 33 years and has probably dominated Chippy Lane a time or two. But he is best known for making various Welsh arenas the best atmosphere in the UK. He dazzled with light shows and nailed the song choices as the DJ. And made everyone in those barns hairs stand up on the back of their necks by serenading us with the Welsh National anthem. He has created some of the best memories in Devils history by putting them into beautiful videography artwork, such as the intro video for games and my personal favorite, the Wally Night video. And I finally get to say thank you to him. Welcome to my shed, Paul Sullivan.
Hey, Wally, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm awesome, man. Really good to be here. Really good to be here.
I get into how we know each other, and I got this written down and everything, but so there was a Wally night in Cardiff, Wales, but what nobody would know except for yourself and I is that you started that.
Inadvertently, I think, yeah.
Yeah, you were getting in touch with me because you mentioned yourself and some fans really wanted me to come over. So you brought up the UK Charity All-Stars event, right?
Yeah. I was involved with that for quite a while. It's a hell of a thing, you know. It's just a runaway train now. It's raised hundreds of thousands, and
I had James Pepper on there. He was a captain of one of the squads.
Oh, right? Pep is just awesome. I mean, his whole family does so much for different charities and helps people out. But Pep's a first-class guy, and yeah, it just, we were talking about a situation where we might be able to get an import, for a couple of the teams. And I said, well, we got to get guys who are going to either like really entertain and sell tickets, or we're going to get guys that are really going to get everybody juiced up, right? Or both. And then you just like tick both boxes straight off. So I said, well, we got to talk about Wally, guys, and is he East Coast? Is he going to be a cheap flight? But no, so we just started talking about stuff like that. And then I reached out and I probably had a conversation or six with Todd about it, because he always was very supportive of the All-Stars. Yeah. And I think that's what came back to him then for the official Wally night.
Well, and I actually still had the message in my phone from our back and forth. And because when you're out of the game and like you got nothing really to do with it, and then all of a sudden someone starts talking to you about coming back to Cardiff and seeing everybody and like getting to be that guy again for a day or two. You don't forget that shit. So I actually reread the message again that you had sent me saying,
good that we're not relying on my memory, man.
Yeah, no, it was that the All-Stars wasn't going to work out. Something to do with like there was only for a launch night, and I wasn't going to be playing any games, or it wasn't happening. I don't know what was going on, but then you mentioned it to Todd, and you wrote in there that you read his mind and that he'd like to do a Brent Walton appreciation night, and then that turned into Wally night, which that was you putting the bug in his ear. So thank you, sir, because it did change my life. That brought me back that night.
It changed all of ours too.
What do you mean?
Oh, man, we've never been the same in Cardiff. I think for me and for a lot of people, we've been very lucky with the new organization, the way that they treat guys, and the way that they look after guys. And there's been a lot of thought about things like legacy and stuff, where I don't want to be into a cliche, but and you fell into one of those categories of guys that we didn't feel got able to say a proper goodbye.
There'd be a few of them, right?
Yeah, there's quite a few guys that we didn't feel got the ovation that they should have had at the end, or didn't have the chance, like Tyson, for example.
Yeah.
Marshy, a couple of guys. But I mean, seeing what you did, I mean, thankfully, for the sake of my sleep pattern, I didn't see it firsthand what you did for the guys in the room.
Right.
But I've heard stories. Apparently, you can't unsee it once you see it. But
Well,
knowing how well you juiced the guys up and got everybody going, we wanted to get that infectious kind of thing and bottle it a bit.
I had a lot of fun. I think everybody's aware of that, but like, I don't, when you guys were doing all that for me, I was like, well, they better get their money's worth. So when I was doing the pregame speech, you want it to be good and you want it to be memorable if they're gonna fly me all the way over there. And then they're trying to get the standing block going too. So I thought I'd try and help out there too, right?
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is after that background I mentioned and how you kind of got the ball rolling, and I've always wanted to thank you for it, is I never even got to speak with you that
No.
weekend. I never even
No,
saw
didn't
you.
see at all. Everybody had a piece of Wally, but I didn't.
Yeah.
That's
It
not a
was
problem.
crazy how fast it all went, but you were
Yeah.
up top, I think, right in the arena.
Oh,
like
with the
you,
other 8,500 people that we have in the gantry every week.
yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to say thank you. So
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you.
because yeah, that brought me back. That reminded me how much I like being the hockey Wally guy instead of the business Brent all the time.
Yeah.
Now I'm
NBA,
myself all the time, right? Like, when I
mate,
first got back,
if
I
we're talking
actually,
about if we're
but
talking about thanks, from my side of things, you talk about you were very kind with saying about the video montages, which has always been one of my passions and one of my favorite pieces of involvement, my biggest privilege. And there's a couple of images down the years of all of the different Devils teams that they'll never be not used. John Lawler shooting the clock, that kind of stuff, and you and Colby, from my perspective, that was Devils TV solid 24-karat gold,
yeah,
him just running along on the ice behind you
and I'd be holding on to
interacting with
like
all
his
the
hood.
guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, I just couldn't get enough of that.
I still have like 4 of the pictures of him running on the ice with me holding on to him. And yeah, like he actually just YouTubed it the other day. He put in, I think it was his name or something, and there was a video of him running around the big blue tent throwing snowballs at the fans.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard the Todd's recent episode, and you were talking about that and talking about him playing. And what an awesome thing that would be to have him skate on Cardiff ice,
Oh, it would be really cool to see both my kids skate on Cardiff ice.
Yeah.
Play like as a line someday. But no, like Colby's a player, and I know people may think I'm just a crazy dad talking about my son, but
The apple didn't fall far from the tree there, man. I mean, you had the odd skill set.
well, yeah, he's like the skinnier, faster version of me. But yeah, he's as competitive as anybody, and I don't think he can teach that. Like, the kid's got issues when it comes to winning and losing. So,
well, you say about the skinnier, faster version, though, that's what we would have had the second year, right?
I was skinnier and I
You
was
came back,
faster.
like,
Do you remember
like
that?
a
Do you
snake,
remember
man.
that? I
Like
think
a
there was like
racing
an
snake.
amplitude as well.
Yeah. I think
171 pounds, folks. I weighed in 171 pounds. And folks, that's when you get injured. When you get too skinny, you get too fast. And then you put yourself in vulnerable positions because you're faster than you're supposed to be.
Did Lodo have something to do with reaching the 120, the 171?
Oh, he wouldn't leave me alone. It was so annoying. I had to write down everything that went in my mouth like all summer, and I was fudging the numbers, and he was still getting mad at me. I remember his first email back to me when I sent him my list for the week, and I had fudged numbers, folks. And his response from his dietitian fancy fella said, "This guy will not be losing the target weight or however much weight we're looking to lose. He, in fact, would be gaining weight by eating like this." And that just ripped into me. So whoever that was, whatever, man. Yeah. So anyways, that first game, though, I was too fast and I tried to split the D, which I never would be able to do before. And then the guy took my knee out, too skinny.
Hey, I never asked you this beforehand, but is this R-rated or is this triple?
This is whatever you want it to be. It's your trip to the shed.
If you don't mind me saying, you were the butt of possibly Todd's greatest line ever that I've heard, and one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. So I wanted to talk to you about the Challenge Cup final because I wanted to get your input on it. But we were in the bar across the pub across the street from the Sheffield Arena. 2015, and we were very lucky. I was celebrating with the guys, and a few of us were celebrating with you guys. First time I properly spoken to the owners, and and all the boys were talking about what they were going to do that summer. You know, I could see Lodo looking at you thinking, oh my God, is he going to go? Is he going to go do a Ricky Hatton and just balloon out like? And everyone's going, oh, I'm going skiing. I think Huddy was going to be living up a mountain in a branch of a tree, like for a
Yeah.
month or two or whatever. And and somebody turned around and said to you, hey, Wally, what are you going to do this summer? And Todd went, go to the fucking gym, I hope.
That's just mean.
You just stomped him back though and put him back in his place. But that's probably why you were angry enough to get the ban, right? The lifetime ban on the hotel.
Well, that wasn't my fault either. That was a collective effort. It's a team effort when you get banned from hotel. It wasn't just me.
I'm trying to remember, who was it that we had to keep putting to bed?
Pigs was a problem. It wasn't just me.
The PhD, the big brain, and we must have put him to bed about a dozen times, and the
guy is resilient. You just can't keep him in a room. You could try get that guy to stop celebrating, but it ain't possible.
The doctor, man, he's just a different level, man. He thinks at a different speed to everyone else I've met, I think.
Oh yeah, he is a smart fella, but he can also get into one.
What so you'd know though if you saw him in Sheffield that night?
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Okay, sorry. So, anyways, how we know each other is I'm pretty sure our first connection, how we started to bond, was way back when the 2014-15 season started at O'Neill's. We'd crush some pints together.
O'Neill's is to blame for several things.
Do you remember after a game, sometimes there'd be both teams at O'Neill's and we'd be running amok of that place?
Oh yeah, I mean the boys just owned that bar.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Years, started with Vother and G and all those guys, and back in the early days of the Big Blue Tent, with Nigel and Sash, obviously S&M, singing up on stage, the guitar duo, and they were awesome, and the boys loved them, and yeah, it was just that little corner, by the hatch at the end. It was just the place to be post game.
Oh,
that's that golden era, I think.
That was the start of 2014. We did that, but somehow the Devils got away from going to that place. But I don't know. We sure had fun after a game there, right?
I'm going to blame Lodo for that. I think,
right.
I think he ushered us into the professional, successful era. And
he really pushed that on me too.
The old ways of the Jedi were slowly driven out.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, is hockey as much fun anymore?
Well, I think winning is as much fun as it ever was.
Yeah, it's what it's all about, and that everybody's trying to find that edge, and it comes then you lose some of the fun.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to I've got a good friend who was a Paralympian, and he dealt with the same cycling champions as the Olympic team, and they talk about their marginal gains, and they're the super secret squirrel department, as they called it, and they were working on how to get this 1,000th of a second and this half a meter or this inch.
Yeah,
and the gains they were making by the end were so small, but they were making the difference, and I think that's how it's going in Britain now, because things have been so disjointed and so difficult and easy to be critical of for so long. But now you've got so many guys who are slick and professional. I mean, Brody is such a student of the game, like Dupes. He's unbelievable. He's been making notes on being a coach since long before he was ever thinking of retiring. He's been preparing for this day for, over a decade kind of thing from every report you hear. And I think everybody now is just, Kiefer and him and the guys in Sheffield and everything, they're just trying to win by this much and this much, and it gets smaller every year. But
I remember Lordo's attention to detail was exhausting, right? Because he'd be all over every guy. It wasn't just me. But I still think deep down that the best teams, the people that are willing to do more for each other, win more games. And sometimes that is hitting O'Neill's as a team. That brings everybody together. I think it is still important to do those things. And I think the teams that will win will be the best teams.
Yeah. And I think that's one of Todd's strengths, that he understands that.
He knows Halloween parties are important.
Yeah. He bridges both of those sort of time frames. So he gets the best of both worlds, I think. So he expects pros and he expects guys to take care of themselves, but he also understands that, as particularly guys with families now as well, that's a big difference with us. We used to be all single guys.
Well,
So
when I was there, right, and you talk about that, Colby and I, whatever you said, iconic, whatever, if that we said, but he was the only kid on the team that year.
Yeah. And that's
the only kid, and that's why you'd take him out. Now you'd go out there, there's like 10 kids on the ice, right? Nothing's, it's not.
We'd have 2 or 3 of you, 4 of you sharing a car. We couldn't afford married guys for years and years. You know, it's just the way that we rolled, and we used to, as shitty as that tent was, and it was, you know, there's no two ways about it. It was our shitty little tent, you know, and it was the greatest home advantage in the league, bar none, because nobody wanted to go within 100 miles of that place.
No, it was ours though, wasn't it?
It was, you know, and it had its own personality. I mean, it damn near blew away in the wind 3 or 4 times, but
yeah, like, so I posted it there on Insta where I put most of the stuff today on like the stories or whatever, but the video of you made for Wally night, and there you put up, there's 1 goal in it, and you see how many people were in the big blue tent just standing at the glass at the bottom row, and like they're 3-4 deep, and we're playing the Fife Flyers, right? Nothing against the Fife Flyers.
We were very, very grateful that the fire officer didn't show up terribly often.
Right.
But
that's what happens when you win, right? People come.
The fire exits would have been used. I mean, the cathedral, as I call it, the Welsh National Ice Rink, our first rink, there's no doubt that in that building there were, you know, regulations were just a dot in the distance, because we were winning everything at that time. You know, it was crazy. And but the tent, and when she started rocking, you know, when they're stamping their feet, you know, all the guys were singing and drums were going, and if we had a good group of away fans as well, that really helped.
Yeah.
And you had that opposite thing, you know, the to and fro, and you know, we tried to help out as much as we could. I mean, we used to say, you know, Hubs and I were the guys that were running the sort of show in
Sorry, Hubs?
Gareth Hubbock. So he's an ex official and player, but mostly official people know him from the Super League era. So he was spending a lot of time catching stray shots and parting some very, very big angry guys. And he's, you know, he's similar to Franny, you know, he's a bit of a Cardiff legend, and everybody loves Hubs, and he was my right hand, left hand, half of my brain at least, and my, you know, the guy calming me down when I was freaking out, and then the guy freaking out when I was trying to calm him down. But we used to say that we've got, you know, like a really bush league arena, but we could have, there's no reason why we couldn't have NHL sort of production goals.
So do the best you could with what you had.
We're never going to have on ice projection, you know.
So why don't we explain to the crowd what exactly you do for the Devils? Because you do a lot of different things, right? You do make some videos, but you do the production, the light shows, the music, the full deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a bit of a change this year, because with my work and with things altering at the club as well, this is the first year I've not done the same job since, give or take, 2008.
Wow.
Because I couldn't have taken the job that I have if I was full-time at the Devils. But for a long time, what I would basically do is if it lit up, or it showed an image, or it made a sound, that was probably on the end of a button that this particular monkey had pushed. And we just tried to train the monkey and rein him in as best we could.
And so you're playing the music, right? You're
playing the music, yeah. Designed the intro video and, you know, the audio to that, and then the videos that go with it, with some fantastic help down the years as well. And then the pre-game videos, if there was a big one like a Challenge Cup game or Sheffield, or, you know, if we'd had a bad run or something, and maybe we thought the fans needed some juicing, so we'd black it out and try and, you know, do a bit of rah-rah before the game.
Well, some of your videos though could get you pretty get guys pretty wound up, right? Like that you do.
Oh, thanks, man.
Like when we won the Challenge Cup and you did one, I don't know where all the video came from. You had fans behind the scenes. You had the owners with the goal lights on their heads, right? And you had all this video, and I'm like, where did this come from? How did they make this?
Well, a very small portion of that was me, but the bulk of that stuff was the legendary main cameraman for the Devils. He has been for years, Howard Tackle.
Oh yeah.
He was he's a cameraman for Cardiff City and lots of different sports for different TV companies, and he's a good friend of Glyn Dummett, who I'm sure you obviously know quite well. And he's been our cameraman.
I went out for a couple pints with Glenn and the boys at their establishment there.
It's part of the initiation ceremony. It's a bit like meeting.
That's when they're bringing you into the Devil's family. That's when you've made it, right? When you get invited to those
circle,
pints.
Man. That's the circle of trust. Yeah.
I remember Hendo had already been invited, and I was like, geez, I'm gonna have to do something here.
It's like meeting the George boys.
Oh yeah.
You know,
well, that's day one. That's the first weekend you meet them, I hope.
Yeah, it's inevitable, really. They're kind of like Thanos, you know. But yeah, so Howard, I don't know how he did this, but he was our cameraman in the rink, and his camera was pointing over the ice. I mean, he used to have a hockey helmet on because so many pucks nearly absolutely totaled him.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got a 30 grand lens on a 20 grand camera, whatever it was. And we're like, how does he follow the game in this place? We have no clue. You know, he's world class, and he got a lot of that stuff because he knows how important it is to not just have you celebrating a goal or, you know, Bouncy celebrating a save, but have
the fans to get the background. Yeah.
Faces. Yeah. I mean, that's my favorite championship.
That was one of my questions, because to me that, like I know a lot about Devils history now, but for that season to have gone the way it did with the new ownership, and then for us to win a trophy like that mid-season or whenever it is, January or whenever you win that, but like that, it was like the Devils are back. And then to see all the crowd, exactly, like I didn't know what was going on with this Challenge Cup thing. I didn't know when they were league games, Challenge Cup games. Then all of a sudden it's the semifinals and finals. And then like before the finals, Todd's taking it totally different. We're staying in a hotel the night before. We're like, it's, you know, they're making a bigger deal of this. And then you show up and there is like 5-6 busloads of Devils fans, right? And they're just rowdy.
I think we had about 1,400 there.
1,400 fans in Sheffield. And that's what, 5.5 hours away.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And that was, you know, for a cup that most people didn't really care about, but has always been special to us since we won it in 2006, 2005-06 against Coventry.
I think any trophy's special no matter what it is, you know?
Oh yeah. And I can't imagine how it must feel to be, I mean, I've been very, very lucky to be on the ice just afterwards a few times. And you can feel the wave, you know, and, you know, guys hugging everybody, and it's incredible. You can't even smell hockey kid. That's how much you get excited. But so
I love winning. Winning is my favorite thing. God, it's awesome.
I mean, you know, Todd hates this, right? But one of my favorite clips, he really hates this. He wouldn't even like me saying it. One of my favorite clips is when we won the league in Sheffield, and nobody had thought to have the trophy there because they didn't think we were going to do it.
So there's no trophy to left.
So there's a shot of Franny and a couple of the guys with an inflatable trophy. It's about 2.5, 3 feet tall. And Todd used to lose his mind whenever I put this shot into a video. But it summed it all up, you know, that we don't care.
It's a story, yeah.
We don't care if it's an inflatable trophy. We just won against our biggest rival then. They're probably not now, you know, for the old school guys, for the graybeards like me, they're still pretty big, but it's the teal guys that we don't really get.
Yeah, that's because they've been doing pretty good.
but going back to 2015, we had no business winning that.
What do you mean? Who are you talking to?
No. I don't mean the team. I mean the organization, right? So the entire summer of 2014 was incredibly tough. So,
well, I totally agree with what you're saying, because the team they did get and that they recruited that we had on the ice that night was good
In
enough to
in
beat
what, 6
anybody.
weeks?
But it's crazy that we had that team. It's crazy the people we had and that they were
Oh,
available. Like
and
there was some
talent. I mean,
talent and just absolute dandies, shed guys, you
oh
could call them.
yeah, just absolute beauties, all of them. I mean,
I know.
Hendo just crushing guys,
Yeah. And
absolutely crushing.
like using this big ass hip checking people, but then
We love a hip
fighting
check in
people.
Cardiff, man.
But then fighting people, and then Batchy
Yeah,
fighting people, Mitchin fighting people, Lordo
yeah.
just acting like a psycho out there. It was
Oh
nuts.
yeah, Lordo on a couple of guys, particularly our friend from Coventry that one season. That's a popular video every time that comes out. But
Oh, that
yeah, I
noble
mean,
guy.
in real hockey terms, if you look at the science of building a team, we were way so far behind the curve in the 8 ball. We had no business being in the final, but we all knew, those of us that had seen you guys as a unit, that we had a shot against anybody on one game, or 2 games.
It was all season. If we would have been gelled and would have been a team from the start of the season, we would
Yeah,
have won the league. We were in like 8th place 2
yeah.
months in, and we almost won
On
the
an
league.
absolute rip, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We
But
could have beat
that
anybody in
was
the
a
best of
special day. I
7.
mean, for me to swag around Sheffield, I've got a long-standing history with a couple of guys there. Some of them shed guys. One of them in particular, I've jousted with a few times down the years.
Fair.
And we
Is
both
it
have
probably my leading scorer in the shed? Is who you're talking about?
that's the guy. And we I think we are diametrically opposed on almost everything, but we have a grudging respect for each other's commitment to their own clubs.
Right. It's got to
That's
be hard for you to not
probably
be a
the
part of
life
it this
you're
year, then,
getting.
no?
Sorry.
It's got to be hard for you to not be a part of it this year, then.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is. No lie. I mean, and do you know what's funny is, because I'm so busy with work, very often I catch myself. I'm thinking, oh, the game was started 10 minutes ago. I'll check the score and all the rest of it. But sometimes I am so busy that it does take my mind off it. But there are a couple of key moments, like the first game of the season, because there's always so much of a build up for that.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge. And then when you see results and you see a couple of wins and you see new guys and you're like, well, I haven't seen this guy play yet, or I haven't seen this guy play yet. And then, the toughest one for me, actually, as a single moment, about a dozen other guys came into my venue so I'm the head doorman of a security team in an almost brand new venue in Cardiff. Okay. So I run a team of about 8 guys, and it's a great venue. It's beautiful. They're they're lovely people that own it. Security company I work for, awesome. And about a dozen of the guys came in. And the 2 things that really hit home to me was that I only recognized about 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a clue who any of the guys were. And that was the first time I'd seen anybody outside of the rink from the Devils, and and then when Joey Marty came to speak to me, I'm going to get all Wally now if I'm not careful.
What's that mean? Cry?
I'm going to get choked up. Yeah.
Oh, whatever. That's fine. You're in the
came to
shed. You're
speak to
allowed to
me
get
and,
emotional.
I've said this before, but people know that Joey Martin is an amazing hockey player. Okay. Anybody that's ever watched the game knows that. What they probably don't realize is that he's a legendary human being.
I know.
He's first class. He really is. And we just had a little chat, and it was just like, shit. Yeah. Okay. You need to leave now because heartstrings are getting tugged, and not enjoying myself here now as much as I was. So, but it was great. I mean, yeah, he was.
Yeah,
He chased me. He'd follow me all around the place just to, or asking everybody where I was just so he could come say goodbye. It was a little thing like that.
Well, and like I think for teams to have success, their best players need to buy in and be great people. And I think there's it's pretty obvious why the Devils have been good for so many years is that their leader and their best player has been a great person. And then you also have Richie, and you had Haddad, and you had all these just fantastic people that were also the best players on the team. And that's when teams
Richie
win.
may be the most humble man in sports.
I know.
In any sport ever.
I know.
And I see
he's the perfect human. He does everything right.
He's the perfect human. He is. He is our answer to Nicholas Lidstrom.
Yeah, he's the Welsh National. Nice one. He's the Welsh Nicholas Lidstrom.
He's actually English, but we've adopted him.
He's pretty well Welsh.
Yeah. Ownership is 9/10 of the law, and possession and all that. But he is, and you see when times are hard. I know Todd was talking about online activity, and you guys were talking about that, and I found that really interesting, because I spent a significant amount of my Devils career online, obviously, like a lot of people have, and I'm I'm pretty much Marmite as far as that goes to most people.
Marmite?
Yeah, people love Marmite or they hate it. I don't have people that don't mind me.
What's Marmite?
It's like a beef extract.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
To me, it's as nasty as it sounds, but some people swear by it. So it's like the Aussies call it Vegemite, if you've ever heard. It's that kind
so you're saying some people like you and some people hate you.
Yeah, I don't.
And I think Simsy's kind of the same thing too, right?
I don't have people I kind of get along with. We either get along great, or I'm really bad news. But
I'm really nice to everybody. But like, I know who's on my team, and I know everybody's on my team until you show me you're not, and then once you're not, you're not.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Churchill used to say, if you don't have any enemies, you're not trying hard enough, or you're doing nothing wrong. So what the heck? But I've completely lost.
We were talking about being online and stuff. And
yeah. So, when I see guys saying, well, we need a more vocal captain, or we need somebody that's really laying down the law. And there's plenty of guys that will do that, and we've got a coach that is prepared to do that.
But it's also, it doesn't even matter who's
that.
wearing the C. It's like Richie's a captain, Joey Martin's a captain. They're all captains. And I was thinking about this as like, that my last year there in Cardiff was actually the first year I was named a captain in pro hockey, and it meant a lot to me that Lordo did that and gave me an A. But like, when you look at that photo of, I think it was like whoever was the captains that year, Marshy was the captain. Then there was Mo, Hendo, myself, Richie. But like, we were doing like the away and road ones, but like, you see that and you're like, well, that's a group of leaders, but then
the Richies almost, yeah.
But then we still had way more guys after that were all leaders, right? Like, it doesn't matter who wears letters or whatever. It's a group thing. You either buy in or you don't.
I think that group of players is probably contains whenever they
the biggest beauties that ever were assembled on a hockey team ever.
Got to be close, right?
Oh gosh. But like, seriously, a Tuesday practice could be the best day of, like, it was just, you never knew what was going to happen.
Or a couple of guys would be up ringing socks going, Todd, we got a bit of a problem, and something would have happened that usually involved Dees. And something would go on. But whenever they left the Devils, however long that group of players was with us, for me and for several other people I know, there are more players on that year's roster that I would have liked to have seen back for one more year. Mm-hmm. Whenever it was they left that year, 2 years later, 5 years later, there are more guys I'd like to have had for one more year than any other team that we've had, I think.
Yeah.
Just whether it's a personal thing,
Man, it was a special team. Like, there's special teams where it just, everything works and everything fits. And like, it was the perfect blend of guys, and it was the perfect time to be playing in the big blue tent with a bunch of dandies, and like, nobody cared, nobody had egos, everybody was just there to like enjoy it and win the games.
Yeah. And it really did carry on the spirit of the big blue tent that had been happening under when Franny was assistant coach to Jared Adams.
Yeah.
Because we had no business keeping guys like Votho. I mean, Todd is on record many times saying he tried to sign him every year.
Yeah.
and he wasn't alone. Every team wanted Voth there. He was the franchise, like it or not. 6'5", 2 something. Let's be kind.
Yeah.
2
And
something.
would beat the wheels off guys.
And like Franny and I once sat down and went through all his fights, and we couldn't think of a single fight he ever lost when he was pissed. Like, he's not one of those tap on the shoulder guys that'll just go dink, and they're off. But if
he was fighting from the passion of the game.
You took a liberty with one of ours, or you were being an asshole. Oh my God. Like, he would just, and every single player on every single team that had played you before, as soon as a new import would come in, they go, right, we're going to Cardiff this week. Now there's one guy, you have to know where he is at all times, or it's going to be disastrous.
Yeah.
When he was like 240 pound, he would throw 239 and a half of them in every single hit. It was, he once tapped me for good luck before I did an anthem at the playoffs. And honestly, I think I might need a hip replacement as a result of that one. And that was being friendly,
Oh, that big blue tent though was a special place to play hockey. I loved all the mucking around we do in that little barn.
It was perfect for that group.
Yeah,
it was exactly the right place for that team to play and for that team to be successful.
Oh, I think, but we could have been successful anywhere. I just can't believe they put that team together within 6 weeks. And you got a new player coach that was just playing, and he becomes the player coach. And then he puts together a squad of dandies like that. What a time.
Oh, yeah. Where do you get these guys? Guys that went on to be MVPs of the league.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Well, you had Hoth and Marty, then you got what Bounds he's done, but there's some wild
high-end skill sets, like yourself. Like Cully, who's just as good at both ends of the ice. For example, that. And like you say, strong leaders and great D-men like Marshy, and it was just ridiculous. And
but we also had a great time. We also hit O'Neill's. We also got pizza in the room. I hear hockey players don't even eat pizza now.
Is that right?
I don't know. I hear there's protein shakes all the time.
They get looked after, but I think they have. They've had Jamie's company doing a few things in the past. I don't know who the sponsor is or who the supplier is now, but the old Domino's thing. I think the away team gets Domino's. It's Todd's way of slowly just sabotaging.
I still remember after the wins of the big blue tent, the George brothers would come in with a tray full of beers. And then we would have cases of beers already. And you'd be a few deep before you leave the locker room. And we would just be sitting in there with ice packs all over us, just having a time.
Boys, you wheelie bins. You wheelie bin on spot.
And then Colby would be walking around dishing out the beers out of the coolers. It was awesome.
What an apprenticeship, eh?
Well, it was pretty cool when your 2-3-year-old could come in the room after a win and dish out the beers for the boys, right?
My favorite thing about the George boys is that nobody seems to know how that happened.
Well, I think it just stems back to Finner and all that, but how they
were just there all of a sudden.
But they're always with the different teams, and they do have a legacy, and they are part of how the teams win. Hockey 100%. Players win more when they're having fun, and those guys are as fun as they get.
Oh yeah, they came into our place a few times, and they
So
were.
What is your place? What's the question? Where and what are you doing now?
Well, I'm working in security, so I'm a doorman.
So are you beating people up that are getting up in your face or what?
No, we de-escalate situations, Wally. That's what we do.
You de-escalate them. You haven't put anybody's head through a window or anything lately?
Well, we've had a few,
dust ups,
robust conversations.
Not full melees, just dust ups.
Robust conversation. It's not the kind of venue that's like an episode of The Fall Guy every week. You know what I mean?
Okay, so what's the Fall Guy? I don't even know what that is. Probably a British show.
I'm sure my age.
Yeah, and I'm across the pond. I don't know.
Anyway,
carry on.
No, it was an American show. He was the Bionic Man, and he was the man, and they was just a barroom brawl every week. But anyway, so the place is called Flight Club, and there's a few across Britain.
Light Club.
Flight.
Like the beers, the flight where you have five different kinds of beers. That's what we call flight here.
Flight because that's what the things are on the darts that make them fly.
Oh, it's a dart place.
They're called flights. So it's called a social darts experience. So people come in, they play darts. It's all high def cameras. It maps the darts. It does slow mo videos of the guys. It's all on LED screens. It's a good crack. You'd love the place. You'd be all
I like
over.
throwing darts, and I like, it sounds like fun.
So yeah, it's like 3 floors. It's a great place, and it's very, very popular. So that
just made me realize that I had a confirmed shed guy that, like, somehow I saw that he was a shed enthusiast that was a Welsh national dart player.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Not now, not actively, but he was back in the day.
Wow.
And yeah, he's a shed enthusiast. I thought that was pretty neat,
He'd be no good with us because we don't let him bring their own darts. So.
Which I guess I should bring this up because I don't think I have yet, is they just had this thing on Spotify where it like gives all your stats for the year. And that's like the thing I use is called Anchor, that you just pull the files in or whatever.
Okay.
And then that's a podcast, but it tells you all your stats, and some of the stats and some of the things fans were writing to me and showing me that I was their most listened to podcast and how many hours they had spent in the shed that last year. It is crazy to see.
Yep.
And I can't believe people are actually listening to me in my shed, but thank you. Because I really like it. And
you're just as enthusiastic about this as everything else, man. And I think that comes across,
I love it.
You get these guys.
Think about it. I never would have got to thank you for what you did for me if I wasn't doing this. And now we're getting to catch up.
I'm very, very, very grateful for that. I mean, we always tried as a team, everybody up on the Ice Time guys, the Devils TV guys they are now, and myself, we always tried to do right by anybody that was having like a testimonial or hit a landmark, like 1,000 points or whatever, and 400 games, or that was leaving us. We always tried to do right by those guys. And so even if they couldn't have a physical send off, we tried to give them a bit of a video one and stuff.
How often do you redo the pre-game intro video?
The last couple of years, it hasn't been touched very much.
I have a question then, because after I left, I was told, and I'm pretty sure I saw that Colby was in the pre-game intro.
Right? He's been in several versions of it.
That's really cool.
Several versions of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I was always under constant pressure to keep it as current as possible.
Right.
Because Todd's very much an in the moment kind of guy.
Right. But then you got the history of the Devils is cool, and that you guys cherish your history and your players that have moved on and are done and washed up in their shed, and then you still support people like that. It's cool.
I think the words that were used by, it was either Todd or Steve King, was respect the past and work for the future. Yeah,
that makes sense.
So I took care of one and Todd took care of the other. I mean, just a note on him. When we're not maybe the number one team in every single competition and we're 10 points clear with the league, he's front and center. Yeah. So he understands that he needs the flak jacket because he's the main guy. He is the main man. He makes the decisions. But I've never seen anybody who wasn't born in Cardiff that cares more about the Cardiff Devils.
Oh, I know.
Never. And I've seen firsthand the quality of a friend that he is and the quality of a man that he is.
You're getting all Wally on us, aren't you?
I am a little bit, yeah. But I tell you, whether I work there ever again or I never do again, if anybody wants to question his motivations for the club as for being anything other than building the best franchise for the Devils fans, they can come through me first.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Oh, Alexa's chiming in.
Holy moly! She wants it. She wants to try and get through you out of it.
Everybody's getting in on the act now. But yeah, they can come through me first.
I'll put myself. No, and like he did, like you talked about how he gets the way hockey used to be and the way it is now, and like he's kind of the bridge there. But like that, he gets hockey players, he gets family lives, he gets our wives, the children, he gets every part of hockey. And I personally think I kind of do now too, but it was learning from him. And it's like so I have an interview coming up to be a AAA coach here next week.
I heard this. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it sit on
But
there.
you
Like,
don't know who the opposition is, right?
no, yeah, but like it asks who for references, and one of them was a parent of a player you've coached before. And I literally was thinking, I was like, I would give them every parent on my team from this year or last year, and I'd give them every kid's name, and they could talk to whoever they want, but also not just them, it's the players' siblings. Like, we were a family, and like, you can ask any of them what it was like. You can ask any of them what type of hockey family we had. And it was learning from Todd Kelman. And I'm very proud of that, you hear about some stuff that goes on in minor hockey and people being upset with coaches and stuff. It's like, I have had two of the greatest groups of parents and kids and siblings and grandparents that you can ask for.
Mm.
But
well, I think that, they say that there's an old military phrase that says once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, and three times is enemy action. And I don't think it's any fluke that he won in Bracknell and he won in Belfast and he wins in Cardiff.
I know he wins.
You don't accidentally get that lucky. Nobody's.
Did you know that when it first started there at the Big Blue Tent, I remember someone telling me a story that he said the ketchup wasn't red enough.
Yep. Oh, he went from teal to red in like no time flat.
And you have to, because then you were on a new team, right?
But I think one of the things I remember, and every now and then I still do this, the meet the owners night, right? So we had that night in the theatre that's in Cardiff Museum. About 350 fans packed the place, and a lot of anticipation. Nobody really knew anything that was going on apart from Franny. Franny had spent the summer trying to convince guys to buy something that wasn't originally for sale. Todd and Stephen, the guys, managed to buy something that wasn't for sale, which was an even bigger. Then they moved into a house with a view to moving into a house that wasn't built yet. And then they had the loudmouth guy that used to be on the microphone talking a lot of crap about the previous organization that we don't talk about anymore. And we don't, we don't really live in the past. We don't dwell there. And I copped quite a lot of flack for that as well. And none of us really knew what was going on, because Todd goes, Todd says to Franny, yeah, I've got some guys that are really interested in owning a club. And this is after Franny and I had spent like 2 or 3 months just racking our brains about who we might know that might maybe be interested in saving us from where we were. Like, and
the way it's all worked out is so wild. And then
were approached.
But then it's also crazy that the ownership group that took over the Cardiff Devils are such shed guys.
Oh,
they're like, they get it. They get what guys need, and they want to do everything right. It's like, what a breath of fresh air for a guy that's been mucking it around in Europe for 10 years and seeing some places that, like, it's hard to get the right sticks. You can't get the good ones. Yeah. Like, if you can run out of tape.
Terrified of breaking one.
Well, it's like, and then you get to a place where, like, Lordo's like, in the summer, he goes, I know how important sticks are to a player. We have owners that will get you the good sticks. What do you want? And I was like, oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, incredible guys. I mean, their first ever experience with the fans was on the away travel bus to Sheffield for that final. And they're singing Delilah on the microphone on the bus.
Well, they're just normal, good dudes that aren't afraid to have fun and be themselves. I like it.
Turn up with those Budweiser hats. I thought, oh God,
I think there was way too long in my life where I was kind of like embarrassed of who I was and how I behaved. I'm actually quite proud of it now, and I don't care anymore what you think.
You fitted straight in, man.
Yeah. And those guys are like that though. The owners show up, they got lights on their heads, the goal lights, right? And they were just running amok on those fan buses, weren't they?
Well, I mean, a story I've told a couple of people from that night when we won is the medals were given out to the guys and the owners. Todd's very good at making sure the right people get the silverware and stuff. And my wife at the time, Amy, she said, oh, do you think you could get me a medal? to have a look at? I said, yeah, yeah. And the closest person was Steve, right? Steve King. So I said, oh, Steve, is there any chance I could have a look at the medal? Just Amy wants to have a look. He said, yeah, yeah, sure. And he gave me it. And then he had this funny look in his face. He said, but you've got one, right? I said, no, she just wants to have a look at the medal. He said, but you've got one, right? I said, no. And he gave me his medal. And I was like, no, 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 no. No, please. And he said, I've got nowhere in my house to stick it. I said, Steve, I've seen photos of your house.
You have
Don't give me
places
that.
to put it.
So I went to Todd to ask if he had another medal. He said, no, we've got you one. We've got you. I said, it's not for me. I said, Steve, just give me my medal. You can't take Steve King's medal. I was like, I know.
I know.
I was terrified for the rest. I thought Todd was going to kill me. And then a couple of years later, Todd did the same thing with his league medal, you know. But
Well, things
yeah, I
get
mean,
carried
it's just
away
an
right after you
indication,
win.
guys.
Like mine didn't get out of Germany unscathed when I won a medal. You know, it's in tough shape these days.
Yeah, hey, there's another great image you say about winning championships. Joey Martin crowd surfing in the bar in Saltbox in Nottingham. That's
I
a good
thought
one.
Riley Brandt, you mean?
Joey was there first, believe it or not.
Is that right?
He was very, very carefully placed back on stage by the fans that were like, don't break the Marty.
Don't break the goat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Winning is fun and crowd surfing is fun. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, but
What was your favorite game, Wally, in a Devils uniform?
my favorite game is winning the Challenge Cup because winning's
Was
fun.
it?
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't
yeah.
even remember the rest. Did we play any other games?
There were others.
I actually I've thought of this too. There was a game I remember. Because things hadn't gone well for me that season. I wasn't doing well. They had brought me in to be the guy or whatever, and then I was on the third line, and I knew Lordo wasn't too thrilled with me and the full deal. And then I wasn't playing much, and I was sitting on the bench. And you know, you think you're good, you think you've done things, and you think it's going to go a different way when you get to a team. And then there was a game. I was sitting there, and I was like, "Well, I'm getting my MBA." I remember thinking this on the bench, and it was pretty early in that season. I'm like, "I'm getting my MBA. If this is how I'm going out of hockey, if this is my last year and I'm sucking in the EIHL, I better make it fun. And I better go out there and play hockey the right way and enjoy it." And I remember thinking that, and that next shift I went out and I did a couple spin of Roonies, and then I actually did the backhand slap shot pass between my legs on the power play just to see if Lordo or anybody would get mad. And I did it, and nobody said anything to me. And then I realized I could just be myself. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going out, I'm going to go out having fun. And then that day on, I had a lot more success that year.
Better to burn out than fade away, right?
Yeah, well, you may as well go out having fun, right? That's why you played the sport in the beginning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, just quickly, I want to say one thing about two guys. So we lost a couple of guys this year. A guy called Andre Payet. I don't know if you ever came across him in your career.
I did not, but I saw that that he passed.
There are some legendary. I think Andre was one of those guys that he was such an outrageous character, and I don't mean out of control. I mean just his character was so big and larger than life that nobody seems to know which stories are true and which ones aren't. Nobody much cares either. But I tell you one, just from a hockey perspective, he came to Cardiff and played his first game for Coventry. I have never seen a performance like that by an opposition player in our city. He absolutely dominated us. We had nothing. We had no answer for him. And we had a good team, but we had no answer for him at all. And it was, that was an announcement to the league of here I am. And it was a real shame to see a guy with such passion that people spoke so well about, say that. And also on that, just quickly on a similar subject, Brent Poper, another larger than life character. I've had my few set twos with Poper, and we had a few rows about the way the club was run and stuff. But what a lot of people don't know is, 10, 11 years ago, he read at my wedding. We were very good friends, and he was one of the funniest people and one of the most intelligent and articulate. he gave me possibly my favorite non-Devils related hockey moment ever. He was commentating for the BBC in the Olympics in Vancouver. And I was watching with a couple of friends, and I got a text out of nowhere, and it says, "I'm bored. What shall I say?" And he's in the commentary booth, right? He's doing a solo commentary, and he's texting me going, and I went, "Song titles." He said, "Okay, who?" So we were like, "What's the most ridiculous one?" I went, "ABBA." Right. And he starts, I shit you not, he starts dropping in ABBA song titles. And if I wish I could find the game and find the commentary and watch this. And there was several that he did, the winner takes it all and all the rest of this kind of stuff. The best one ever, the Sedin twins scored a goal, 1 assist, 1 shot. And he goes, there we go, folks. Knowing me, knowing you. And it was just unreal. Like, this is live on the BBC.
That's pretty.
It was very sad. It was very sad to hear about Popa going. He
and is it who's Poper in Devils history? Is he the guy that was running it before Todd?
Yeah, he was kind of general manager. He was latterly most famous for being on the bench as coach in an assortment of hats. But that was a very thin end of the wedge that was Brent. He was a Super League defenseman for us when we won the trophy in the late 90s in the first Super League. And he was a fixture for the Devils and around the league for a long time, and he was a gamer. He would get into fights he had no business winning, and he knew that, and he would fight still. But yeah, he polarized people, which I guess I respect and I recognize. But yeah, I just realized my TV's gone off. That's why it's gone dark.
Oh, that's okay.
But yeah,
nobody watches YouTube anyways.
Pope was a real lot. He was very kind to a lot of people. It's a real shame that he's gone.
It's weird getting older, isn't it? And it happens fast.
Depressingly futile.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to more fun things then. Poster picks. You're painted as a devil.
Yeah.
I've been painted as a devil too.
I saw that.
That was at the Sheffield Arena, folks.
Yeah. I didn't see it. I heard about it.
Wow.
Which I don't think I got 5% of the whole Wally experience,
Well, you gotta be in the locker room to know what really went on.
Very pleased to not be a player that night, I think. Yeah, I was just at a Halloween party and it seemed like an obvious choice. I did the same thing a few years previous. And Votha was the guy that said to me, "Yeah, nice makeup, Sully. You look like a chubby boy George." And I didn't do that again for a while.
Well, for me, I spray painted my entire canvas red. And then wore the little horns and a bow tie. And I had a little pitchfork, right? The devil pitchfork.
Yeah.
But
yep.
I don't remember where I went with that pregame speech, but I'm sure I was into it.
So you must have been like every Avenger and every DC hero and
Thor. I was Ninja Turtles. I was Captain America, Hulk. There was a lot of different things. I was a ninja, all sorts of there's a lot of pregame speeches. Did you know you play a lot of games in a season? Once you get committed as a pregame speaker and you want to do it better,
28 times on the row, right?
So the way that all started that year is Lord had always done the pregame speeches and with Deese, and then they tried to do the funny, they tried to do the different, and then I was like, well, I'm done. Like, why don't I help Deese? Like, why don't you be all serious like you are, and I'll bring the boys some fun. Yep. And then I hid in the closet. Lordo comes in and does some weird speech or whatever, and they're just like, what was that? And then all of a sudden I came storming out of a broom closet. And then I told Richie that I had the Thor hammer, and I think I said the other team was gonna take it and like it.
I see. Yeah. I just do you know what I would have loved? What I would have loved to see about times. More than anything else is the faces of the guys the first time you did it.
The first time, but then also like the first time on the road, right? I was only doing it at home, and I was like 6-0 at home. And then we had a big game, and then I went on the fan bus like 5.5 hours away and got just pickled with the fans. And then
Oh God. Oh,
you live and you learn, right? There's not things I would do now. Not if I got a AAA coaching gig, I wouldn't be doing these things, right?
do you know what we should have the shed, as because there's a couple of games where Gareth Hewish is at to like single man the commentary, and a couple of guys are single man like Dan and stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing if they could link up with you and you could do like, you could do color
from
Devils
the
game.
shed. Color
Oh,
from the shed.
that'd just be
Wouldn't that be
brilliant.
something? I could get it up on the TV here and watch it while we chat in the shed.
Oh man.
It is fun to be part of the game again, though, because
Mm.
like if it wasn't for you poking around about the All-Stars and then Todd jumping on with the Wally night, like I was out of the game, and I don't know what would have happened if that night never happened. I don't know where I'd be or what I'd be doing, but I'm really happy I'm out in the shed now.
Yeah, it's a good shed, man.
Well, it's like the things that have happened too that I've been able to help other folks is pretty neat, you know?
Yeah. There's been some big topics talked about, and some big stuff has been discussed in the shed, and the world's
Growing
been
chocolate all over the world, and like,
oh, that's you've
Yeah.
done wonders for the cat. The guys at Nestle must surely be backing the truck up for you.
no, you'd have to have a sales team or something, I think. But anyways, okay, more questions here.
Yeah.
The part I think I remember the most about you, other than the making the Wally night video, would probably be singing the national anthem. I
Yeah.
think the Welsh National Anthem is the best one in the world. I think it is incredible. And then when you get you out there singing it, and you get like the BBT crowd going, and like,
Oh.
and then you get say it's us and the Sheffield Steelers or the Giants, or like, and you line up at the blue lines, and you're just like, it is so go time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the closest to actually participating I'm ever going to get, right?
Well,
I can't skate from here to the end of my shed. Never mind.
is that right? Do you use a penguin?
Always had people for that, yeah.
So if you
don't-
go skating, you're using a penguin, aren't you?
Oh, if I did, I would be. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, we kind of had a deal, you don't sing the anthems, and I don't play the hockey, but
Makes
I
sense.
think they'd have been a lot better at the anthems than I would have been at the hockey. But
People should do what they're good at, right?
it was the closest I could get to contributing and being a part of it. And as a Welshman, a proud Welshman, is no finer thing. I've been very lucky to
I
sing.
can't believe how good you were at it. And you're the DJ, the videographer, all the stuff. And then
Well,
you got out there and you just
one guy, man.
it was wild when you would get out there, though, because I'd never be so ready to play, other than like when that national anthem's going and you're standing beside like Hendo and Carl and Dougie Clarkson, and you're just like, I'm so ready to go play these other guys. Let's go do this.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it.
That was fun.
There's been a few guys have said some kind things down the years.
How did you know you could sing? How did you get how did you do it
I
the
think I
first
got it
time?
off my mum. My mum has always been a singer, and my sister too. And I was lucky enough to get recruited to sing for like a professional choir. They toured America a couple of times. We did like 46 out of 50 states, and we did the album for the World Cup in '99 for the rugby.
Really?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to sing the anthem on the pitch probably 10, 15 times. Which again, as a Welshman, the Devils for me is the pinnacle, but as a Welshman to sing that while Wales play rugby, it's a hugely privileged position. And
No kidding.
yeah, I got some good lessons and knew some good people and got lucky,
So yeah, like, so how did, I guess, so you were singing before the Devils and all that, you were singing from a young age.
pretty much, yeah, in school and stuff, like most people do. But I had the Catholic upbringing that didn't last, so it was hymns when I was growing up,
Yeah.
and then it was pantomime and doing stuff like that, big British tradition over here, which is it's tough to explain to people from your part of the world. Or
But can you speak Welsh?
I can't, sadly. Dim siarad.
Dim Sharad? What?
Yeah, no language, no speak. Dim siarad Cymraeg. I don't speak Welsh. I can read it well enough to sort of sing it and pronounce it, and I understand some of the basic rules of how.
So did you
things
learn the
sound.
national anthem like in school? Do they play it before the day of school like they do in Canada? They play O Canada at the start of the day.
No, we didn't do that at all.
So
I
how'd
think
you learn it?
yeah,
Because
some
like
of
that,
the,
it's a wild language, man.
that's a good story actually. Another person, God, another person who sadly we lost in lockdown, that we couldn't go to the funeral of because of the lockdown rules.
Because of the baloney.
You would have met this guy, I'm sure. His name was Jim Mannings.
Doesn't
He was
ring
a
a bell.
big burly guy. He fought as an amateur heavyweight boxer for Wales. He had 14 fights and he never forgave himself that the only one he lost was against an Englishman. And he took me aside and showed me the phonetic version of it. So
Yeah.
like the sounds of how it
So
sounds.
where like sounds it, yeah.
Yeah. And taught me.
So
the
like
answer.
you're saying like where it says like wall ton, it's gonna have that little dash or whatever, right?
Yeah, like so,
Yeah.
like glad, which
Yeah.
Wales, glad. It's like, so it would be like a G and then a double O for the W, and then LAD, because W in Welsh is a vowel. So it's technically gulad, but it's a very quick oo. It's not an easy language, man.
No, it's not. Can I put you on the spot right now in the shed? I don't think I've ever done this to
You can
anybody.
try, yeah.
The
by all
last
means.
guy that was on, one of the guys, I've had a lot of guys on, but when we were writing afterwards about how much fun we had, he was like, we never even got my guitar out. And I was like, well, geez, if you could do that, you should do that next time you come to the shed. So I'd like to hear you sing a few words of the Welsh national anthem, because there's a lot of people maybe that listen to this
Oh
that
God.
aren't from Wales that don't know it, and they don't even know what we're talking about. So
I just thought you were going to go and try and get me to say the really long.
I just want you to sing some of it, because for me, actually, and you may be part to blame of this, is when I was done hockey, I remember there was a night I was with some friends and they put on the Leaf game, and it's pretty fresh when I'm out of the game. It's like right at the start of the next season. And they put the O Canada came on, and then they show all the players standing at the bench, like moving and shaking and watching it, where we would all be on the blue line as a full team. But they showed everybody's face and how ready they were ready to play hockey. And it reminded me of like, I'm never going to get that feeling. I'm never going to get that feeling of standing on the blue line and Sully singing that national anthem. And I'm just so ready to go do whatever it takes to win this game. And that it was a very hard time getting out of hockey. And it was shit like that you watch on TV and it like triggers you. And you're like, I'm never going to get that feeling again.
Right?
I'm just sitting there drinking beers with my buddies. And I'm like, I want to be the guy out there, like with the juices flowing, ready to go through a wall for my buddies, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm ready to listen to you sing now.
Okay. What do you want? Verse or chorus?
I don't know. Take it from the top. Take it from the top.
Here we go. What is it? So let's put this in context. Okay. 12-hour door security shift. It's 4:53 a.m.
It's 4:53 a.m., folks. This guy's a gamer. This guy's a gamer.
That's the old diva in me trying to make it. This is about as good as it's gonna get. Okay. My hen lad van had I on me. Glad by the Santorion en Wogion ovri. I go all ravel will glad God will tramod. Dros rave coslasant. I go out. There you go.
That's fucking awesome.
Seems he do that.
But seriously, like I tell you, that language and that anthem, it just makes sense. That Language doesn't really make sense, but that song makes sense.
If you like that, you should look at some of the football games, the soccer games.
Well, that's
that
what made
Wales
me think
play.
of it was I saw Shed Guy Max Beerbreyer put out like the Welsh National Anthem's got to be up there for top in the world. And when I
Gotta be.
read that, I remembered you singing it, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
man, that shit got my juices flowing.
Thanks,
you know,
man. I remember the playoff finals once. A guy that really loved it was ex-NHL guy we had playing here, Craig Weller, one of the most revered players we ever had. Absolute specimen of a guy, right? And looked like he'd eaten Thor and then gone to the gym, you know. And he apparently
similar to my physique, then is what
just
you're
like
saying.
yourself, yeah, chiseled. Or it's mine.
Why
is
you
at the moment.
laughing, Sully?
Well, mine is kind of more like buttered at the moment as opposed to chiseled. But I found out towards the very end of the season that he loved the anthem too, right? And we were at the playoff finals weekend, and I'm in the Nottingham Arena. I get down on the carpet, I walk out like 20 feet onto the ice. I'm stood there with a radio mic. It's the start of the game. And he goes, "You're singing the song?" I'm like, "Yeah." I can't think of another reason I'd be here, Wellesley, like, to be honest. But it was, just made me giggle.
Oh,
But,
no, but like, I don't know. I think I learned this from Todd, or maybe this is why I think this way. But I think to win the actual championships, it comes down to all the different fine details. I think who sings the national anthem matters. I think the way they come out and do it matters. I think everything matters. I think the people you have around your organization, that you're willing to do the DJ and you're willing to do the light show, and you're also willing to go stand out there and sing the song too. Like that, those are the type of people you need around an organization.
Yeah, but that's a privileged position as well, It's not about willing or
you're right about that, but I wouldn't be willing to do that.
Well, yeah, but that
because I know I suck at it.
I couldn't split the D, mate, knee injury or no. So I mean, it's like you say, it's different thing. But it was the greatest honor, to do that as a Devil and a Welshman. I mean, there's nothing better.
And working for the club, and it's the club you love.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a proper sporting fan's dream. It's like most Canadians working for the Leafs or the Habs or. You know what I mean? It's just being an original six fan and working for one of those franchises, Detroit and New York and all of those. And yeah, I've been very lucky. I've done everything from selling raffle tickets and running the supporters club to I was general manager of the club for a year.
You were the general manager of the Cardiff Devils, eh?
Yeah. I didn't have a goddamn clue what I was doing.
I was like general manager, you're picking the players?
No, I was managing the admin. The coach picked the players, Glenn Mulvanna. But I did things like the car sponsorship and stuff. We were the Coca-Cola Cardiff Devils that year. And Bill Buglass and I went and did a presentation for Coke, and we were lucky enough to get them. Nobody normally gets Coke because if you imagine like in Liverpool, where you've got Everton and Liverpool, if Coke sponsors Everton, no Liverpool fan ever buys a can of Coke ever again.
Ever again. So they want to stay neutral. Pepsi. Yeah.
So they just don't get into those races. But with us, because
that's like the Shed. We're staying neutral, folks. We just love hockey. We love people.
We're like the Switzerland.
But everybody knows we're a Devils fan at heart.
Yeah. So yeah, we were the Coca-Cola Cardiff Devils. We had a great team that year. We had Ivan Michulik and Russ Romanek, ex-Winnipeg Jet, and we had Stevie Lyle. We had some.
And what's cool is about you hanging on to the legacies and the Devils past is I know all those names. I know who they are, and that you guys keep that history with you guys. And there's a lot of teams that forget about their history and forget about the players that played for them, and they are just in the present. That you guys hang on to the people of the past is very important to the players, I think. Yeah, and the players that are playing presently don't get it. You don't get it until you're in your shed years later.
No, it's quite right. And from the old school guys from the original rink, there was a bar in there called Gretzky's, and obviously, because that's the only hockey player most of us had heard about from the league, from the show. But there was always a real sense of confusion for football fans and rugby fans, because they're like, what do you mean the guys go into the bar and you have a beer with them and you talk to them? And we were like, yeah, this happens every week. So, these Steve Murray has just scored 6+5 in the old days, like in the crazy
Yeah.
league.
And then people
And
can
then he's
stand there and have a beer with the folks.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah,
well, I
that's-
go to a football match and I can't go anywhere near any of the players, right?
Exactly. And that continued with the bar in the tent and O'Neill's
No shit.
as a natural extension. And then
I have that written down on my notes though. You're gonna get me sidetracked, but
sorry.
I have the Big Blue Tent bar written down of like I think that's what spawned like just the whole vibe, the whole atmosphere of the Cardiff Devils the year I was there. When I remember when I showed up for the first exhibition game and Todd's giving out pieces of paper to fans saying, write down what you'd change, what you want us to do. And he was showing them that he cared about what they thought, but like we'd show up and it'd be half full. And then as soon as we started winning, it was out of control. But that Big Blue Tent bar after a game would be rocking. I hardly ever hit the town. I never went downtown. I had a young family. My night out was the Big Blue Tent bar, and I ran amok, and it was awesome being there.
Yeah.
It was a fun night out.
I remember the year we got heaters in that bar. It was like it was like all our Christmases at once, Did you know that building blew down when it was being constructed?
I'm surprised
The big wooden spines that went over the top, right? They were building that, and we had one of the hurricanes or one of the storms from Siberia came over, and it was like 3 of them were like 45 degrees. It just snapped, and they had to start all over again.
Well, some of those nights when it would get a rocking in that place, like I tell you, what a place.
So loud, like we had so many noise complaints because the way that the sound engineer guy explained it to me was because it's just got those flexible walls. What actually happens is any noise you make inside, it's like it turns the whole building into a speaker. So it was genuinely, honestly,
like a huge
by
speaker.
the laws of physics, louder on the outside than it was on the inside.
So it's like a gigantic speaker.
Chris Hartree was getting like 25 noise complaints a game, some from Penarth, like over the taff there. And I remember him coming up to me one night and he said, I can hear every single word that your announcer's saying. I said, any chance he could come and explain to the guys in block 4, because they do nothing but moan and they can't hear what I'm on about. Like, it was just
no, it was special. Like, but I think
black out the lights in August and it was still sunlight outside, so it was glowing blue.
But yeah, like my point was though, like that inside that arena, the people that were inside that gigantic speaker, it was a family. It was everybody knew each other. Like it was crazy. And then how much
everybody
the fans cared about you, right?
Break, yeah.
I really enjoyed being able to speak English with the fans of the hockey team because
of course, yeah.
I'm pretty personable. I like to talk to people. And I tell you, you go to Germany for 6 years and like you try really hard to talk to them, but it's just not the same as just speaking English with a guy.
No, of course. And it's always been a big recruiting thing for Britain. That's why we've often got players that we maybe didn't expect to get because there was, a bit of hometown boy about them and they didn't want to go and learn Italian or be the only 2 imports that didn't speak, Latvian or something.
Well, and every country has a totally different hockey culture. The locker rooms are a bit different. The going to a bar after a game's different. I hear the EIHL's cracking down on fun, but like there's different cultures in hockey. And like when I got to Cardiff, I couldn't believe especially once I started playing better, but like, cause sucking sucks. But when you start playing better and you're hitting the Big Blue Tent and the team's winning and you feel like you found your role as a third line guy, that's a second power play guy that just tries to run amok at doing that.
I always thought you thought yourself as a first power play guy that got demoted though. Isn't that right?
No, I was always on it. Lordo's on the first
just
power play.
joking.
Gosh, I could never be on that.
No,
Lordo's a right winger. No, but like once you start having success and then like the team's having success and we're all winning and we're hitting that bar, man, we were like a rocket ship to the moon that year.
Oh, Well, I mean, just before that, I mean, when we broke the world record for most consecutive wins,
So,
out of that shitty tent, right?
right.
Beat the Rochester Americans record.
How
I
many
think it was,
games was it in a row?
oh, it was crazy. I think it was something like in all competitions, it was like 26, but in league, it was something like, oh God, I wish I had John Donovan's memory now.
But
It
you guys
was
didn't win the league that year.
like 22, I think. And it was funny because once we started doing this home and away with no budget, and again, no business doing it, in the science of hockey terms, I used to talk to G all the time, and because I'm always fascinated by coaches' thinking and how they get guys up for stuff.
Mhm.
And he would say, I said to him, like, how do you get these guys going? He said, we don't need to. So what do you mean? He said, have a look back at all of the social media or the local newspapers, guys like Bob Westerdale or something. Inadvertently, somebody would always have said something that would wind us up. They'd be like, oh, that streak's coming to an end this week, or it can't go on forever, or why nobody knows how the Devils have done. There would always be something that someone would say, and they just cut it out. And honestly, it's an old cliche. They cut it out and stick it on the back of the dressing room door, and that was enough.
Well,
Uh,
it's and every team's different, and how like for me as a coach, what I would need, I like, is just seeing the team get along and be a team. Like
oh,
it when they start gelling, and like I've heard about that season, they were hitting an establishment, and they were hitting it before all the games, and they were a team. And when you get a team as a team and you're going out, you're winning, you're running amok on and off the ice, that is living.
oh, yeah. I mean, it wasn't a mindset, and it wasn't a routine or a superstition. It became a way of life.
Yeah.
And it's the same as it was with the 14-15 team. I mean, how can you not enjoy yourself when Dougie Clarkson's around?
Yeah.
I mean,
Dougie
Jesus.
Clarkson and I sat beside each other on the bus that year. That's fun times. Bussing up to Scotland, I'd be like, let's go. Let's hop on the bus. I
He
gotta
was
sit beside
very,
that big goof the whole way.
he's a lovely, sweet guy as well. He really was, but oh, he was funny.
And the Clarksons, shout out to Nicole, fantastic wife, one of the best in the hockey game and the
Mm.
world. But they just had a kid too.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they're parents now.
Wow.
After years of trying,
The
they
little
got her
Clarkson
done.
running around,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
Wow. I always remember when he fought the Coventry guy and he hit him so hard his helmet just flew off. That was another great clip. Another great clip.
So let's talk about that then. We're jumping around here. I don't even know why I wrote notes because I haven't even looked at them. When you make these videos that are so
Yeah.
cool, as like the Wally night one. So I just been naked. I just done the pregame speech, and Lord
Narrow
knows,
it down for me, Molly.
as
Saying I've
soon
just been naked, that could be any night of the year.
no, I don't get naked often. But I do the pregame speech, and then I'm spray painted and whatnot. And Laura's like, Wally, seriously, you got 2 minutes to get around the arena and drop the puck. And I'm like, I got you. I run. I get my fancy pants on, my jersey over top, and I run around the building. And then Franny and I lock eyes, and he knows what I've been up to. And we have a good chuckle. And I walk out to the red carpet, and I got a lot going on. But like, you play that video on the Jumbotron, and like I watch it, I'm just so in shock and so in awe, and I'm just like, how the hell did this ever happen, that a team is having me back and putting a video of me up on the Jumbotron? Like, what that does for a person, what that does for a hockey guy that's been a hockey guy his whole life is crazy. But then when I rewatched it today and I'm watching the video, you have it down to a T. Like, even the words of the songs are dialed into what's going on in the video. You got my kids running around the ice, and like the song makes sense and what they're saying makes sense. And then I'm scoring a goal and that song makes sense. And like you're going in and out. And I tell you, you got a talent, sir.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
I didn't realize it all though, right? When you're standing out there and you're watching, you're just like, wow, this is really cool. But then when
Yeah.
I watched it
You don't get
today,
to really digest it, I suppose. Yeah.
no, and I'm like I was listening to the different songs come in and out and the timing of it, and I'm like, he's put in some time into this.
It starts with the song, actually. I've never done a video that started with an idea. I've heard songs here, there, and everywhere, and I'll hear like a hook, one line, and I'll think, oh, that's good. And then I listen to the whole rest of the song, praying that none of the other lyrics are going to like shoot me in the foot.
Yeah.
And I can make the others work somehow. I did a couple of the Greatest Showman ones, and that was great. Like, when we won the league and the playoffs and stuff, and it's coming home, like that constant lyric. And some of them just are obvious in some ways to me, and some of them.
Well,
need
the
a bit of
video I
manipulation.
remember, like this is well before you ever made a Wally Night video, which like I'll save forever, right? That's part my hockey journey that's how it ended, right? It's pretty cool. But was that first year when we showed up as a bunch of ragtag dudes from, we kind of were cast-offs from a bunch of places. And we show up and, I think we could have won the league if we would have came together a little sooner.
Yeah.
But once we did, we were a special team everywhere. And we go to the year-end awards, and you played the video of On the Wings of an Army. You remember that shit? That was heavy. That'd make a guy get all Wally.
Well, that comes back to that owners night. And I'd started saying that I still every now and then watch that event in the museum. Because a couple of reasons, really. One is because not once has anything that was said by Steve or Todd ever been deviated from on that night, from then until now, 7-8 years later, which is impressive in sport, to have that kind of commitment and then stick to it. It was a hugely emotional night for a lot of us. And what probably most people don't know is it was my audition, because, I mentioned about being Marmite. Todd is a guy that does his homework. I just fought with the ownership very publicly to try and make some space for Todd and the new guys, but they didn't really know me. I mean, he knew that I put a show together, as I could, but as best I could, but he didn't know me personally very well. We just say hi every year when I went out and sang the anthem at the playoff finals. That was that. So he spoke to a lot of people and said, what do you think I should do with Sully? What's the deal with Sully? And about half of them or so said, he's toxic, he's poison, he's going to want to steal the show. You're never going to get the microphone. He's going to be front and center. And around about half-ish, I guess, said, you got to have him involved. He knows the club, he brings a lot and start blah, blah, blah. So I was very fortunate that half were also asked. So he didn't know what to do. And he told me this, he didn't know what to do. And he used that as my audition. And he thought, well, if Sully tries to steal the limelight, or he's on the mic introducing everybody when it's his show, and it was his show, then that's that.
And Todd likes the mic.
Well, you know what? Todd's very good at the mic.
He's good at it, yeah.
But he doesn't like it.
Mm.
Todd does not like the limelight or the spotlight or the individual recognition that the microphone brings him.
Yeah.
He's absolutely not that guy. One of the main reasons that Todd gets on the mic is it's a safe place for him. It gives him a base to watch the game and operate and control and the flow of traffic without having to be physically pulled left, right, and center all over the building. Because you can imagine everybody's going to want a decision from him, right? So unfortunately for Katrina, that means that she is.
It makes sense though, because everybody wants to ask him about this problem or that problem and this problem. It's like, well, he's announcing, leave him alone.
But here's a measure of the guy, right? The first year, I was still announcing for the first few months of the season, and he was just leaning on the wood at the back of the rink and just watching and coming and having a chat with us and stuff. And about 3 months in, he goes, he said, "Sully, do you mind if I announce?" I said, "It's your club. You do what the fuck you like." I mean,
Yeah,
literally do whatever you like. He's like, "Oh, I thought you might be upset." No, great. It's one last thing. I'm on the phone to Claire and I'm pushing button. It's great, not brilliant, because I've heard him in Belfast. He's energetic and he fires them up as well as anybody does. So that was an awesome. I said, I don't understand why we've had a great announcer sat there doing nothing really.
yeah.
So but the fact that he even asked, speaks volumes about the guy. So we did this audition event, and he said, "You just sat at the back and pushed buttons." He said, "And I think, you kind of made me look pretty good. So great, welcome on board." So we had our first ever meeting, and he was the only thing that I was a little concerned about, because as much as I like to plan my videos and stuff, I like the odd crisis. I'll be honest with you, Wally. I'm a bit of a freak. That's why I probably like my job now, because I like it when there's 2,000 people coming out of the stadium and they all want to come in at the same time and blah, blah, blah. It's all going on.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if he's like Mr. Spreadsheet and Mr. 12:47 and 18 seconds,
Yeah.
I'm fucked. Like,
I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean. You like to be a bit of a cowboy and have a little bit of stress.
A little bit, yeah.
So did you know what sometimes this is interesting to me, is that I'll know I'm having a guy on for days and I could write the notes at any time. And for some reason, I'll wait until the last 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden I'll rip them all out and it's like go time.
I can't tell you how many of those videos were finished. Not the bulk of, but a great deal of the work was done on game day.
You're like Andrew Hotham trying to get an MBA. That guy could save her for the last minute, I tell you.
Yeah, no, and I think partially is I'm a world-class procrastinator anyway. That coupled with the fact that I like to give myself these very public deadlines, because they're the only way I can properly
Hold yourself in
and
check.
motivate myself to do it. Because I have to do it. If I say,
oh yeah,
intro, Saturday, right, or pre-intro, there has to be one. There's no way to, you can't hide. But we had our first meeting, Todd and I said, okay, how do you like to run things on a game day? And what's the way that you think, and for us to work together? And he just,
well, it's interesting because that's what's different is he would have already been in Belfast and would have had his guy who would have had his guy would have done it a certain way.
Yep.
And it's weird for hockey guys. They like, and anywhere, they like things to kind of be the same, right? So he would have shown up and then all of a sudden you're like, well, this is how I do it, right?
Yeah. And we'd both been doing it for quite a while by that point, So I said, how do you like to work in general? And he just kind of stopped and paused and looked at me and went, gotta be honest, Sully, I like it when shit's a little bit on fire. And I said, we are going to get on just fine. And I've always used the same analogy. I'm a big movie guy, right? Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
They talk about the pigeons, the deep rollers and the shallow rollers. And you have the pigeons that come out the dive shallow and come out the dive deep, close to the pavement. And you should never breed two deep rollers because they'll just smash their heads into the pavement, right?
Yeah.
Todd and I should never work at a live event because we're both deep rollers. We're playing this brinksmanship game of pull up,
Yeah.
and how we haven't gone down in flames like an awful lot of times, I do not know, but it's because he knows what the hell he's doing, and he has always trusted me, which I'm very grateful for, because I think that's a thing that he doesn't find easy to do, and that he, there's only a certain number of people that he can open up to and talk. And if he wants to criticize a player or something in the organization, he can do that to a few people, and he knows it goes no further.
Yeah,
But
You have to have those
You
people
don't
that
have
you can
that
talk
release
to.
valve, you'll just bang, you'll
You have to
explode.
be able to talk to people about some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was great for me because I learned more about the game, than I've ever learned, probably just, working alongside him and stuff. But
Hey,
and
do you
then
realize that I got a whole thing of notes here that I scrambled together and we've hardly looked at them?
oh,
Do you know
sorry,
that?
man.
No, it seems like it's been too long, right? We haven't even looked at the notes and like we've been talking for a while. Can I get into my notes now?
Yeah, you quick fire me, man. Go on.
Are you ready?
Yep.
You're born and raised in Cardiff. So
Yep.
what's it like? You're 49 years old. What's it like back then? I bet you there's not even Cardiff Bay around.
Cardiff Bay was a place that you wouldn't go.
No. And
Cardiff
it
Bay
is
was
a place I would go now.
It is a place that the police never used to go a great deal.
Oh, it's a bad place.
Oh, it was fun and games and fun. Yeah. Yeah, it was a real holdover.
It still is.
Real holdover. It was the docks then. It wasn't the bay. It was
Oh.
there was still working docks, a lot more working docks there than there are now. And within docking environments come docking people, and the legacy of over 100 years of coal being shipped out and in, and workers coming from all over the world meant that it was a real melting pot.
Yeah.
down there. So no, there was no Cardiff Bay, but yeah, I mean, there was no Greyfriars Road, with like Tiger and all that kind of stuff. There was one late night bar, and that was Kiwi's, which was in a different place.
Is that right?
And the odd other club, like a few places like Lloyd's and a couple of others, but nothing like it is now. Nothing, no shops to speak of other than
Well, I tell you, like when I think it was the second year, 15-16 season. At the start of that season, the World Cup of Rugby was going on in Cardiff.
Yeah.
And man, that city was alive.
Oh, it's
It
like
was crazy.
Yeah, it's got a heartbeat and a pulse all of its own when that happens.
But it's not even just when you say heartbeat and a pulse, like, man, I went to Matthew Meyer's testimonial. We have the first night, and then it's the day of the game. I think it's Saturday morning. I wake up after a late night with everybody, and it's like 11 a.m. and I'm at the Clayton, and you look outside. You look outside, and like there's a pulse and a heartbeat, and everybody was outdoors having pints, having lunch, having whatever, and everybody was having fun. And I was like, look at the people like having fun here.
Do you know one of the great success stories of the Devils under Todd is the first incarnation of the Devils that have ever not worried about when Wales are playing for scheduling, because we used to avoid it like the plague, because playing a game on the day of an international was a death knell for ticket sales.
Oh, because nobody would come.
400 people, game over, done, forget it. If you've got a good traveling support, you'd be doing okay. But now they regularly sell out on the days that Wales have a home game, and
isn't that wild? Because when
unheard
Wales
of.
has a home game, how many do they have? It's not that many. To have that huge of a stadium taking up that much real estate.
74,500 people, and about 200,000 in the city centre.
But like, how many days of the year is it? It's only about.
Not many. They play four. We just played 4 games in November, and then we either have 2 home games in the Six Nations, which is what we've got next year, or 3. So
yeah,
7 games maybe at most. Maybe
and then that whole huge stadium exists because of the 7 games a year.
That's where it started, but now it exists for Beyonce and Adele and Ed Sheeran and the WWE. And
Makes
I
sense.
tell you, just very quickly, I tell you one of my funnier door stories. There was a guy that had been banned from a previous venue I was working for life. He was a very nasty character, and he'd attacked a woman in there. He came back to the door, and he created with me. It didn't go well for him. And the following week he came back and started having a go again. It was my buddy's last day for the company and for the job, and he was itching for some action.
Yeah.
So I went, it's all yours. So anyway, it was the day of the WWE Clash in the Castle, right? So there's like millions of wrestling fans everywhere, all in costume and stuff. And so he gets into it with this guy on the door, and that went very badly for him. And we've had a call come across the radio. The police want to attend. They want to arrest him. So can we detain him? So, yeah. So my friend Sam restrains him on the ground, face down. He's still wriggling and juggling. So I then got involved. And the very second that we pinned him to the floor, out of nowhere comes a guy in a full WWE referee's costume, slides in 2-footed and goes, 1, 2, 3. And then just gets up and fucks off. And that was the last we saw of him. It was brilliant.
That is so awesome. And
Yeah.
that's what I loved about I guess living in the UK was how much fun everybody was having, right? You go out in Cardiff on a Saturday night, you end up at Chippy Lane, everybody's having a pretty swell time. So over your time in Cardiff,
Skating from one end to the other on the polystyrene cartons.
just on all the chips that just get stuck into the cobblestone, right?
Oh.
So how often you've been to Chippy Lane? What would you order if you go there?
Well, I've always been a Dorothy's guy,
Yeah.
but I've never been the biggest chicken curry off the floor guy.
So what's interesting to me is I didn't know what any of the names were to any of the restaurants.
Okay, restaurants, God bless you.
Whatever you want to call them. Yeah. When I would get down there, I would have no idea what any of them are called. And then I remember Dee sent me a picture this year, and it was of an establishment. I'm like, I don't, what are you sending me? What is this? He goes, are you serious? That's Dorothy's on Chippy Lane. I'm like,
Been there for like 60, 70 years.
like, how am I supposed to know what it looks like in the daylight?
However, from talking to a couple of colleagues on the doors in other bars, like Cody Ugly and a few places, there's a place just opposite the end of Chippy Lane that's called, easy to remember, The Chippy. And it's awesome. They do great stuff. They do the whole 9 yards, everything from the curry and the kebabs and the burgers and everything.
Where is it?
All those good things. So, the Prince of Wales, the Weatherspoons, just opposite O'Neill's.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's Coyote Ugly there. It's right sandwiched. The only fast food place on St. Mary Street.
Right there.
It's called The Chippy.
Wow.
And they put they put some kind of Class A drug in the coating of the fried chicken. I don't know what they do, but it's
fried chicken. So that's what you're gonna go with. If you're out late night, that's where you're going, and you're gonna get the fried chicken, eh?
Probably the chicken and chips. Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting for me in the shed is I was out of the game for years, is now I have on the wings of an army. I have folks that send me whatever they order at Chippy Lane. So whenever they get there and they're running amok, they just screenshot the photo, or they take a photo of what they're eating and they send it to me. Right. And they're like, I feel like Wally needs to see this. And sometimes I disagree with their picks, but sometimes I don't. It makes me hungry, right?
You know what we need? We need the Cardiff version of the Burgonator.
The Burgonator, what's that?
Well, Kevin Bergen was a guy that played over here for a while. Great guy, great player, great teammate. Would jump in with anybody and drop the gloves to stick up for a teammate. Really classy guy. And there's the mother of all chippy meals in Nottingham is named after him, Kevin Bergen, the Burgonator. We need to come up with a Wally and get one of these guys to just put it on the menu.
And then there'd be the Wally on the menu on Chippy Lane.
Like the Wally burger or
no, it's not going to be a goddamn burger. It's going to be a kebab.
The Wally Bob.
What it's going to be is going to be a kebab with fries, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, is this for the German bread that you were talking about that gets wrapped over? Is that the?
Well, they're not doing that on Chippy Lane. So can't ask for that. That's not, I don't know if that's in their wheelhouse at that time of day. They're taking a little bit more care into your kebabs.
3:30 in the morning on a Sunday morning after an international. They're not really doing a la carte indoors.
They're trying. It's a little bit more about speed there, right? They're just trying to get it at the food out the door at that point.
Yeah.
So, what would your order be? The chicken
I'd probably
at the
go
other
with the
place.
chicken and chips from the Chippy, because you get the proper chippy chips and then a great southern fried chicken. It's perfect.
Any sauce on that?
No, just as is.
Straight up.
the coating is to die for, man.
Well, it was like, I don't know. I don't live in big cities very often, but when I did live in Cardiff and that World Cup was going on for the rugby, and they put the rugby ball in the castle, and like,
Oh yeah,
wasn't that cool?
awesome, absolutely brilliant. One of the
Eh,
greatest marketing things I've ever seen.
There was a rugby ball, folks, in the castle that had been there forever, right? And they
And it
made
just
it.
appeared, like nobody knew it was coming. There was no hype. It was perfect. Looked
Yeah,
like
it
it had
was
been
really
kicked out
cool.
from.
And like that city was on fire. Like there is always a pulse and a beat to that city, but those days when you get the people from the other countries all over the
And they
place
close all the streets.
and everybody just gets along and has fun. Fun is fun, right?
Yeah, it's a lot like hockey.
Yeah, you may as well just
Unfortunately, with the
along.
football, we have to have designated pubs. You're a Wales pub or an England pub and stuff, and it's just not quite the same.
So back to growing up around there. How did you get into hockey? How do you get into the Devils?
Well, my girlfriend at the time had a really, really busy social life. She was like playing women's baseball, and she was a brownie leader, and she used to do a load of like, after school extracurricular stuff. She was about 18, 19. I was about 16 at the time, and I just never saw her. And the only thing that she did that I could really join in with was the hockey. She'd been a hockey fan since day one. So I said, well, can I come to a game and all the rest of it? And then, here we
So
go.
you're just trying to get a tickle.
Well, it's, God loves a trier.
Well, yeah, you got to give her a shot, right?
And here we are 33 years later, and we're ancient history, and the Devils are front and center still. So, good call, really.
Yeah, no, but it's
That's why.
interesting how when people haven't been around hockey before, like in the UK, it's still possible. Canada, everybody knows what hockey is. Everybody knows that's what everybody's doing on Saturday night. Like in the UK, there's still a market out there that you guys could get bigger.
Oh yeah. With the right, it just needs the right facilities and more, like Todd was talking about have guys on the ice with partitions for dressing rooms. If we could get more arenas, even our size, with just like half a dozen dressing rooms, more tournaments would come. And then, the Europeans would come over, and then it would get bigger. But the level of expertise that's being put into the junior levels now compared to even 10 years ago is, it used to be just dads of a player.
I find it so bizarre.
It's a huge amount of work to do. So I have a lot of respect for them for committing to it. But now you got guys like Hendo, it's a different level now.
No, it is. And what I find very interesting though, and why I do keep saying it is a Disney movie, is that that core of GB hockey players that have come together to win back-to-back golds and make it to the top division of hockey. For how many hockey players there were in Great Britain, and how minor hockey is not anything like it is over here. And the competition's not good. You see the guys that are scoring 10 goals a game and their kids. Like that those guys have all come together and made that team. I do think that Team Great Britain ice hockey, those guys together, and the Cardiff Devils 2014-15 are like the tightest teams I've ever seen, and the under 11 Kincardine Canucks last year.
Yeah. Unreal. The GB guys. I mean, that's what really blows my mind about that year going back, the sort of Coke Devils thing. So on one team with Jonathan Phillips, Matthew Myers, Phil Hill, Stevie Lyle, like crazy guys that would never be in one team now because you just couldn't afford them. But they were, this is when they just discovered the gym and stuff. And it was amazing.
Gyms don't do that much, Sully. You gotta get off that stuff, man.
They do if you're British, though. It was a real handicap if you weren't the size of a house.
No, but like that team, that core of all those players have done that. Is what a squad, right?
So great to see those guys celebrating. I mean, you see what it means to them.
Oh, you went back-to-back golds and get there, and then you get to see them playing against the real squads. But what's your favorite restaurant or bar in Cardiff?
Oof. Well,
Hold on. We're gonna
I'm
ask what decade it is, right? Because you've been there a while.
I have been there a while.
Mm. What
Well,
about right now?
I'm
If you're
alcohol
going
free
out,
now.
oh, you're alcohol free now.
I am. I had a pretty rough spell there for a while. I battled a few demons, and the demons managed to present themselves in a pint glass. So I had some tough times,
Okay.
which speaks to things like about how good a friend I know people like Todd can be.
Right.
But that aside,
You're doing
uh,
better now, though.
oh, awesome now. Yeah, great. 2.5, 3 years now. Well, I tell people that they've had too much for a living. It's hilarious. I would say probably the greatest time to link up the Devils to a bar was when the bar that is now Dirty Martini, right down by the Clayton there, you might have seen it. It's now by Walkabout. It used to be called Life, and this was long before most of the other bars were in Cardiff. And it was run by a good friend of mine, and he became a sponsor. And every Sunday after the home games, because it was always a Sunday, which suited him because it wasn't affecting his Saturday night trade. Devils fans, Devils players packed the place out.
And then all of a sudden he's got a busy Sunday night.
And then every once in a while, what they would do is they do a power play. And the bar was free for 60 seconds.
Shut up.
Straight up. Free for 60 seconds. And everyone would just
So,
you know?
So it's just if you can get one poured in time or what?
Yeah, absolutely. But they did this like 5-6 times a night after a game. The amount of lack of productivity that must have taken place in Cardiff workplaces on a Monday morning must have been, like the stuff of legends. But
that's hockey.
Life was something else. Yeah, I met the Wales team in there for the first time. Met the Lions in there. Met a lot of like local celebrities and international ones and stuff. So that, yeah, I'd say Life probably.
That's really cool. I've never heard of that place.
Yeah. And you're going back now, mind we're going back to the original rink, so it's a while ago.
So you have been through 3 rinks in Cardiff, eh?
Yeah.
They're all different, eh?
Yeah, I mean,
you're a lot closer to Chippy Lane in the first one, which I think it would have been harder to fans to, I think, get there from out of town because it would have been hard to park and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then once you're there, Chippy Lane's right there. But then I think Cardiff Bay makes sense because you can all park there. You can get in the building,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We got the tent, we got the arena, and we've got what I've always called the cathedral. That was my place of worship.
It was the first one?
First place I ever sang the anthem for the Devils. First place I ever played the drum in the crowd. That used to be my gig.
Really?
Oh, yeah, for years. For 10, 15 years, I played the drum there.
When did you start working for them then? How did you start working for them?
Well, in my history of
if you're just a drummer boy in the crowd, usually you don't get hired.
Mate, there were games that were going to be quiet or that were quieter in atmosphere where I was still drummer boy when I was general manager.
Shut up. You're the general manager of the team and you're out there drumming the drum.
I'd written my program notes for the inside cover, right? Like Todd does. So that was that. My weekly roundup. And then I'd go up the block 13 sometimes and play the drum. Mate, we had no budget, like we had no nothing. I mean, my favorite ever story was about that year. So the ownership had been taken over from the previous guy who went into Sheffield, and he owed the players thousands and thousands, and the fans did this legendary raising of £70,000 in 6 months over a summer, and we were just posting checks out to players. It was crazy. And we held a game with players from 9 different countries in 10, 11 days notice from start to finish against the GB team. Yeah,
Just
I mean,
random players from other places.
Simsy always says, right, and he used to say this to us: don't fuck about with the Devils fans because they'll stand outside for an entire season in the rain. We did that when we fought with the first ownership that screwed the players over and didn't pay them for a couple of months. We spent an entire, I say we, not every single person, but I would say probably 90 to 95% of the existing fan base either boycotted or stood outside the arena until face off and then went to the Springbok bar for an entire year.
Really?
No kidding. Don't mess with Devils fans, man.
And what was that over from not paying the players?
Screwing the guys, screwing the players. 70 grand he owed them. 72 and a half. 72 and a half, but who's counting, right?
And you guys raised that money to
We raised that money in about 6 to 8 months. The supporters club, of which I was then on the board. It was a limited
and people
company.
wonder why I liked playing in Cardiff.
Yeah, it was a limited company, so I was on the board of that, and then I was involved when the new owners took over. And they said, "Well, how can we get you involved?" I said, "Well, I don't know." They said, "What can you do?" I said, "I don't know. What can I do?" And it was a bizarre situation, and I was prepared to work for less than any actual real general manager with, credentials and knowledge. So I got the job. I got the gig. Ridiculous. Honestly, didn't have a Scooby-Doo. Learned off the veterans. White Ware, Ivan Machulik, Blair Scott.
And how long did you do it for? 1 year?
Just the 1 year. We were supposed to have 3 years, but the same owner.
So then what happens after that then?
Well, the same owner that we got rid of because he screwed the players, screwed us out of our second and third year on a technicality that we weren't allowed to use the logos of the Cardiff Devils. So therefore we couldn't be the Cardiff Devils. So get out. So then I had a year off, and then
So then how did you guys stay the Cardiff Devils?
Because he owned the trademarks in the deal.
So how did you get them back that we are the Cardiff Devils now?
Eventually they were bought back.
Oh.
Eventually they were bought back. There's it would take another 230 odd episodes to explain the ownership wrangles of the Cardiff Devils, mate.
And isn't it wild how it's all worked out though? And we are where we are.
It's incredible. I mean,
and that's the year that I end up there, and that it all just seems to be turning around is when I roll into town. My
we
brutal
went
body.
For oil, and we found gold.
It's crazy.
Oil was the best we could hope for, and we found a complete seam of gold. It was insane. And that's where the whole Wings of an Army thing comes from, because Steve King's company is called Alaris, which is Latin for on the wings of an army.
Yeah.
So when he explained that to me the first night, that's when I started thinking about songs for Wings of an Army. And so that's where the whole on the wings of an army came from.
Well,
now the travel company's back and they're on the wheels of an army.
Well, what's interesting to me when we talk about wings of an army and that, and like the video you made and like you showed the passion of the fans and all that, is like with what's going on with what I'm doing, just talking to people in my shed, like literally just talking to people on my computer and sending it, is all the cool shit's happening all over the world. It's on the wings of an army is my hockey family, and it keeps growing. And like, I don't really get it, but I think it's really cool. And like, it is on the wings of an army. It's
but
my hockey family that keeps growing.
It's not a surprise, Wally, because anyone that's met you or talks to you about the game and just life in general, you're a genuine person, right? And that comes across. And I think that you have a genuine love for the game and the history of the game and the passion for the game. And you get guys talking. I mean, I've rambled on for far longer than I ever expected to have done.
I haven't even looked at the notes yet. Jeepers.
But like, you get the best out of people. You still haven't got the killer story out of Todd, though.
I know. That's true.
Yeah,
but what's weird is I do like trying to get the best out of people. And when I was a teammate, I tried to get the best out of my teammates. And now that I'm into like trying to be a coach, is like, I want to get the best out of people, and whether that's the real world, whether that's coaching actual hockey, like you may as well be the best you can with what you're doing,
Yeah.
right?
Otherwise, why bother?
Well, why would you bother if you're not going to do good at it, right? Sucking sucks.
It really does. It really, really does.
Yeah. Yeah. When I look at these notes though, we have gone through a lot of these. So have you been to any games this season?
I haven't, no.
No,
I've been working pretty much every Saturday and every midweek game and every Sunday, and
jeepers, that's busy.
yeah, I haven't had a chance. Yeah.
And it's been such a huge part of your life for so long. And for me, like, this may sound silly and we're getting to the end of it, but yeah, you changed my life. But like bringing up the coming over for the UK All-Stars, and then that gets to Todd and he hears that there's yourself and other fans wanting me back. And then all of a sudden there's a Wally night happen, and I had a tough time after hockey. I had a tough time. I tried to be a new person. I had been Wally my whole life. I had been this hockey guy my whole life.
Yeah.
And then hockey ended, and I thought I had to be this different person that like wore a suit to work, that was all serious, that was this guy with an MBA, you know? And it was like, once I got comfortable in what I was doing and I met the people I was working with, I'm like, I can just, and then I go over there and do what I did. And then work finds out about it over here and everybody's fine with it. And everybody just has a laugh. And I'm like, so I can be myself. Like I'm allowed to be Wally. And then
it's priceless, right?
Now that I get to be Wally all day, every day, man, I get to be myself, and it's something else.
Oh, it's good to hear, man. It's good. I mean, I can always totally understand why so many of the guys end up in something like the fire service.
Yeah, because they're part of a team, and
and they're living together and sleeping and
but it's not easy to do it, right? Like it's not easy to get those jobs, and like all these guys that get out of the game, and like for the guys I call shed guys or hockey guys that play, you know, we just love playing and we're good enough and we keep doing it. And then you get to a point where you can't. And it's like, not all of us get out easy
on equal terms. It's always fascinating me. There's a guy that used to play in Cardiff. It was part of a duo, and some of the most successful British players there's ever been. And he has no compunction about never referring to his career, never really looking for any, admiration or praise or any. It's like as if it almost never happened. He just does what he does now. And if that works for him, then good for him. But I've never, ever heard of that with anybody else. I mean,
and that's kind of what it was like, right? Like, that's kind of like, I came back and I get on a plane and I come back, I'm living in a new town, and like, I didn't know people, I didn't have the connections. And it was like, what now? Like everything I've done, where in Cardiff, people would help me get a job. Well, I don't live in Cardiff anymore.
No.
You know,
in the world, Cardiff. Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck when you get back.
Brent who?
Yeah. Nobody gives a shit how many goals you scored. And it is really hard. And like, I'm sure it's hard
here's
for
a P&L,
you.
read that.
But I'm sure it's hard for you not being a part of the Devils this year, and you haven't even been to a game. I
thought I was coping better than I was until Joey walked in.
Right. And I'm if I mess that up, I'm sorry, but like you are who you are, and like everybody that kept bringing things back to me, it was like my hockey life kept pulling and pulling and pulling, and then eventually it's like, well, this is who I am. This is the guy I am. This is what I've been my whole life. I've been the hockey guy. Yeah. So why am I trying to pretend to be someone I'm not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've always described myself as the button pushing monkey. And the best you can do is house train the monkey, I think, but
No, but like seriously, like you're more than that. The video you made for my family that they have for Wally Night, the videos you make for the fans that they get to see and the different players that get to be in them is like, you don't realize how cool it is when you watch those videos and you see yourself in them and you're like, holy shit, who even took that video of me doing that or scoring that goal? And it's, you see it and you see the passion when you score, you see the passion from the fans, and then you see like how much this silly game actually means to everybody, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, like no other sport I've seen. It's you get immersed. Nobody I've ever met who's a hockey person likes hockey a bit.
Right.
You're all in,
yeah,
or you are not. And if you're all in, you're pretty much, cut the arm off, says Cardiff Devils in the middle. Red, white, and blue birthday cakes and wearing the laces and the caps and the face paint. And, you can't, if you're a Devils fan, as much or more than everybody always says we got the best fans ever, right? Everybody always says that, every club. And every club has great fans. Every club has some right maroons, but every club has good fans. But if you're a Cardiff Devil, you're never a little bit pregnant.
No, I don't know. A little bit.
You're all in. You are. It's a binary.
I think then you've already been all in.
It's a binary situation,
But you're right though, and I don't know. It was weird for me, like when I showed up at that big blue tent, and then you get to that big blue tent bar, and then you start winning games, and it was like I had never felt more like at home, like it was like a family. Like you
that
had
was the one thing you actually disappointed me on, because
What?
I used to try and always be at the rink when players saw it for the first time, because I used to love that. They'd walk in and they'd been sold whatever bill of rights they'd been sold by Franny or G or whatever, and they'd walk in and go, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I still remember when like I had been in Sounder,
and you were like, "Oh, great."
and then you're in a little mini NHL rink, and then you do well in Denmark, you win the championship, and then you're like, okay, NBA Cardiff, here we go. You show up, and like we're on a bus with all the players that all showed up on the same flight or whatever, and you see the rink, and you're like, that's where we're playing. Like, that's the rink.
So you imagine playing in there, right, as an opposition player against a guy an inch taller than Lou, right?
Yeah.
Who's as solid as Hendo and 240 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's proper.
No, I know. I can picture it.
Like, that's why our ring, like the size of the pad was, because it wasn't even an NHL. It was 56 by like 26 and a half or something.
What I find interesting about Big Lou is that he can skate and move around. And he can
mobile.
He could have been the big blue tent guy. He could be the big ice guy. He can be any guy. I find it interesting. He's in the EIHL, and North America didn't do different things for him.
Well, I mean, for a living now, I every once in a while I have to have a conversation with prejudice with someone. But I could never do it on skates. But I never understood why, when he's so documented with Lou, why everybody doesn't just dive onto him and try and tie him up. Because why would you give him the space to throw that first punch? That first, even the jab, like he just totals guys. I don't get it. Like
I don't know about the fighting stuff.
It's like Todd says, he's almost too tough.
Nobody will fight him anymore, right? Nobody would want to. Why would you?
And you are unfortunately in a situation where, because he's so dominant, it's oh hello, yeah, it's Dops on the phone.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
But
anyway.
those are the type of guys you need on your team. They make guys like me feel way bigger and stronger.
talk about a whispering assassin as well, like softly spoken and very quiet guy. And
Oh, he's a fantastic fella. It was
Yeah, the
great
content.
coming back to Cardiff. I can't believe I never saw you though.
no, well, we'll fix it next time, man.
Yeah. But seriously,
Come throw some darts with us.
so if I can recap some of the things you've done for myself and my family is Colby's been on the Jumbotron lots of times for the pregame or the intro video, right? You
Yep.
made a Wally video. You made another one I remember you sent to me. And like that you do that for players and that they have those memories. Like, I don't know, we're just all out there living, playing hockey, being hockey guys. But then when there's someone like you that can document it for us, and that I have that video for my children, yeah, you know?
No, it's very kind of you. Thanks.
Yeah, no, Wally.
It's the best possible response you could hope for, really. You know,
Yeah, well,
I'd be
thank
happy
you
if a couple of fans liked it, but if it means something to your family, that's huge for me.
Well, and it's incredible what you do for the players, the fans, everybody, and you've done a top-notch job for a long time. And this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Sully and Wally.